All right, we on? Okay, sweet. Hello, everyone. Lana's back. And there's something I've been contemplating for several days and want to draw attention of anybody who's watching. What is something that you have changed your mind about recently? And funny enough, when you start questioning it, you may find out that you are changing your mind about a lot of things a lot of times, maybe throughout life, throughout a day, multiple life events. And there are people who are very consistent with anything they pick in life. So they can do the same thing over and over and over and never get tired of it. They can eat the same thing forever. They can drink the same thing forever. And the idea of changing isn't really bothering them. And I happen to be one of the people who loves changes. And I like to switch things up. And I like the newness. I like refreshing certain things. I like trying different flavors. I like trying different foods. I like trying different styles in clothing. I have realized that a lot of us, when we are teenagers, we go through a certain style. Sometimes people were emos. Now they are totally normal adults, or sometimes we would be super normal in our youth, and now as we grow we become really extravagant, and things change. That's normal. Now, to change your mind about something, that means we have to explore more. That means there's an urge to explore something else. So when you find yourself in a certain place in life where you find some staleness, or maybe you find that the sameness is not feeding your soul in the same way anymore, so that becomes, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me to find the word. That becomes just more stale. And I went through this experience when I realized that I was extremely scattered in my mind, that I wasn't able to accomplish things in the way that I wanted them to accomplish, because this place over here was extremely busy, and it still is, and sometimes it's still scattered. But it was a lot worse before Lana discovered meditation and mind disciplining practices. And now when I started implementing them, I also have discovered that I was extremely emotionally immature. It was goofy how emotionally unintelligent I was, and I found myself to be, which actually was a blessing, because I was able to become an observer and look at my emotions and behaviors from a different angle that helped me discover myself more emotionally and become more in tune with my heart. So when you looking at yourself from another angle, which initially seems to be hard to do, I didn't understand it in the beginning. How can you just look at yourself from the side? It was such a typical saying that do you get out of your body and look at literally at yourself, which can also happen. But also I recognized, and maybe you recognize that too, when you look at another person and they behaving in a way that just annoys you, or maybe you find it non-suitable or inappropriate for yourself, and within yourself you're feeling resistance, you're feeling judgment toward that behavior, and if you spot it, you got it. There was a moment in my life when I realized that someone I know well and is my friend. And at some point we were in a fight and I was thinking, "Oh, such a narcissist." And at that point, everything in my informational field was coming through as a narcissist. Suddenly narcissistic thing became like a mainstream thing that people complain about, call each other narcissists. Suddenly all the YouTube feed flooded with narcissists and the phones listen, of course, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking deeply about that. And what I discovered that the person whom I'm claiming being a narcissist towards me, that person doesn't know exactly what I'm thinking unless I tell him that I'm thinking of you as a narcissist. So then a thought occurred, if I'm thinking of you as a narcissist and you don't know about it, and I'm thinking that in my head, and only I am the one who lives inside my head, thinking about being narcissist. So I'm the one boiling in this narcissistic identity. And it had such big switch and flip in my mind, realizing that I'm placing a narcissist label onto someone else without seeing my own flaws of being a narcissist. And that self-reflection, once I gave it attention, diluted so quickly and so vastly. It took some time for that to, of course, process and dissolve. And it became my new checkpoint that if I spot it, I got it. If you spot it, you got it. If I judge someone for being so-and-so, then I'm thinking in my head so-and-so. So there's a lot of work to do that way. And there's a lot of patterns that we go through. And one interesting thing also comes to changing your mind in that way as a self-work, that we often so caught up in disciplining our mind, which is good, because when I discovered the world of self-development, and there were people who helped me with that, and I give a shout out to my boyfriend, because he is the one who found me on a way where I just started, getting up from my sinkhole of terrible, terrible life experiences, just starting getting slowly back up to the surface. And then we met, and then he helped me dive in deeper into self-development. And then it opened up a whole can of worms that I wasn't aware of. Like, I just lived my life the way I lived. And then suddenly I started seeing it and seeing how terrible things were and how much work needed to be done. So I changed my mind that, yes, I need to work on myself. I need to discipline whatever is here and get healthier, get more organized, and especially in my thinking, because everything else in my life gets so disorganized because this thing is very chaotic. And luckily, I'm blessed with not being diagnosed with no ADHDs or OCDs or bipolars or anything. I feel like I have acted a lot in those labeling behaviors. However, I've also discovered a blessing in being able to see it and catch it on time and steer it in a direction that is beneficial. So when you also turn your attention towards your heart and the feelings, because a lot of times we stuck in our thinking mode and in the mind mode, so in such a strong grasp that we feel and we think that our thoughts control everything. And yes, in Hermetic traditions, it is explained that the universe is mental. Everything is a thought. And the universal field, every photon is conscious, and it contains thought. And I was wondering if the the thoughts, let's say I receive like million thoughts an hour, but all of those thoughts boiling somewhere, it's really either the funnel of thought receptions wide open and you receive so much, either you can train your mind to narrow down the funnel of your thought reception and actually, maintain a very narrow stream of a thought, which is what meditations come down to. In yoga, and I have graduated as a Himalayan yoga teacher, and not only we studied the asanas, which are the postures and the physical actions to help your body feel better, but also the mental practices, meditation, breathing, philosophy. It's all important. Yoga is all encompassing unity with the universe. In yoga, meditation, in Himalayan yoga at least, meditation described as constant awareness of a single cognition, meaning you can meditate really on anything. The simplest thing you can pick is the breath. You sit down, you quiet your body, you allow it to settle in. In a perfect world, get it to the place of no extra movements and concentrate on your breath, in and out, in and out, in and out. Slow down, find natural breath. And there were rules that you follow. There are rules that you follow to continue the work. And I think and I feel that it's important to follow those rules up to the point when you discover that what is the ultimate truth? Ask yourself, everything that you're learning, everything you go through in your self-development, in your journaling, in your meditation practices, and all the gurus and teachers that you're following, collect everything that you've learned so far and ask yourself, is this the ultimate truth? What is truly resonating with me? Ask, how do I feel in my body when I'm thinking that? So that was another point. There was another point of changing mind, that I don't necessarily have to always be changing my mind. People can have a change of heart. People can have a change of taste. And admittedly, your change of taste comes to your head, but your belly, your heart, and your mind are all mind, and your brain are all different minds. Your gut has the mind of its own. Your heart has a mind of its own. Your brain has a mind of its own. The cool thing is to combine all those three. And yes, I feel like you have so many more minds that just surrounding you in your glowing, luminous egg of that streams from source. The key to harmony is to be able to be in tune with all the minds, and whenever the situation comes, to be able to give access to the mind that would give the most appropriate outcome that is in tune with your highest desire. Did it make any sense? Because once a idea came to me from someone else, someone spoke about it, and I don't remember if it was Eckhart Tolle, don't remember exactly, maybe Joe Hudson. Sit down, and instead of trying to quiet your mind, as a lot of meditation teachers would offer you to do, which is useful practice still, it was hard for me to quiet my mind. And I would try to think of nothing. Nothing is the most favorite thing in the whole world. I love nothing. Nothing is so vast, and this has such a ridiculous potential. The idea of nothing is just hilarious for me. I love it. And be suspended in nothingness is just something so mysterious. Nevertheless, the idea was sink into your heart. Try to listen to your heart when you sit down and get quiet, and just allow your heartbeat to find its natural rhythm and you listen to it. And when you listen to your heartbeat, something different opens up. I would start finding my mind trying to tune into the heart. I would count my heartbeats. And you may also discover something that's more openness in there. Then I also felt tensions. And it's very interesting experience when you just giving it attention and starts doing different things. Same with the gut, with simple breathing. I have this thing that I still work with when I sit down to meditate and to relax my stomach completely and for it to feel at ease. It was very hard up until recent times because there were muscle tensions that would just simply not allow my stomach to relax. And I would always feel like I'm sucking it in. And especially on the exhale, you inhale, you expand your breath, you expand your tummy. And then when you exhale, your tummy contracts, and I would stay contracted there. And it's still there. And sometimes I would find my face being tense for no reason. And it's like, what am I thinking? I know because I'm thinking, my face gets all thinking like. And when I discovered that if I'm willing to tune in to the heart, then something opens there that allows the equanimity, more ease. So this is a recent thing that I have changed my mind about, and you can do that too, by allowing myself to tune into the heart and find the feeling of safety. Because everything that external is, my friend is messaging me, oh, you're so lovely. Thank you, Ryan. When we pay attention to things externally, we get so caught up with it. And the world is beautiful and fascinating. And sometimes it's scary and could be really hideous. Yet it only matters how we feel inside ourselves. If we observing something that we don't prefer, we have already attracted it and it's old news. Listen to Abraham Hicks. I encourage you to listen to Abraham Hicks. Read the books of Esther and Jerry Hicks. It will explain a lot on the vibrational statement and how you attract things to yourself and how you attract certain things you see and experience in your external environment. Yet there's one important thing, at least one important thing to consider changing your mind about is, first of all, remembering that the mind is not all your brain. The mind is also your heart. The mind is also your gut. The mind is unity. It's a field. And change your mind about how you approach observing this mind activity. Because I receive strange thoughts sometimes. I receive ugly thoughts sometimes. I sometimes receive thoughts that I don't enjoy, yet the practice brings you to, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. I really want to sneeze. Now I'm gonna say it and it's not gonna happen. Okay, never mind. No sneezing is happening. Try to consider changing the way you accept your mind. Try to consider that changing your idea of opinion about something is your internal activity. When you find yourself forming an opinion, whether it's positive or negative, about things that is external, beware that you are the one who's thinking those thoughts, and you are the one who's feeling those feelings. And when you feeling something that you're not enjoying out of nowhere, beware that it may be impacted by things externally, Yet you don't have to fall into that vortex. We all have these vortexes. We all have electromagnetic fields that are drawing each other, that expanding, that thinning out, thickening, becoming porous, becoming string-like. Sometimes, and you may find yourself extremely empathetic and not know what to do. Have you ever experienced when you come to work, for example, and you feel that everything is just way too fast? It is just such a high pace. And in the morning, before you got to work, everything was fine. Maybe on the way to work, you started feeling like things are speeding up and catching up. And now you're at work and suddenly you have so many customers and you have so many tasks to fulfill and then so many phone calls and then everybody needs you to help with something and it's just pulling back and it just becomes fast. And what if you weren't feeding that busyness? What if you changed your mind about instantaneous problem solving? And what if you actually tuned into the way you feel? This is what happened to me. If I prioritize the way I feel, the way I stay in tune with myself and at my core, then it is easier for me to have a better day. Try to experiment with it. Somebody else is texting me. That's very lovely. I got the wind charms. Thank you. Now, staying at your core also will require some practice. It's not easy. You can get thrown out of your core very, very quickly. And some people have very intense pulling energies. And being able to remember that I gonna tune out of the collective mind that is so demanding, and I'm going to tune in my own triple mind, the mind and heart and the gut, the feelings, and identify if those feelings don't feel so good. Maybe that's better to tune in to the heart and find a place of safety. Nothing really happens. If there's a person who's gaslighting you, it's most likely because they're working through something on their own. They're working through their own issue. They're working through their own inconsistency in tuning to the vibration that they want to be in. And they may gaslight you about it. Yet, when you stay true to yourself, then they will be able to see that within themselves and get better too. You don't necessarily need to teach them that. They will feel it. Being able to feel sometimes is a lot more important than being able to think certain things. And this is what I changed my mind about. Now, every time when I find myself being frustrated, there are many things that could be very physical. And you could consider the foods you take, the amount of water, hydration, sometimes crucial for me. So look into that as well. Habitual thinking on very strong opinions, patterns from knowing who you are. Yes, for most of my life, I thought I knew who I was. Then I discovered that I have no idea who I am. I'm having this human vessel that I live in, but what's inside there? Like, who is the one who thinks that I am? And then I just tired of doing the things that other people say that is good for me. So I started prioritizing what is the true value that I bring to myself. I don't need anybody else to bring me riches or love, because that is still not good enough. The only valuable stuff that I can receive is if I give it to myself, and then everybody else who delivers you love is a bonus. Find the truth, the ultimate truth within. And when it's not easy. You will find that it's not easy to be able to dig inside. But as you keep asking, the answers will start coming up to the surface. Not in a way that, yeah, this is the answer, now you know. No, the answers will be coming in, maybe I need to change this about myself, and not physically, internally. Maybe I can explore a different way of thinking. Maybe what I've learned in my childhood isn't the ultimate truth. Maybe my truth can be different. And maybe me accepting myself the way I am is the first thing that I can do. So therefore, later I can experience the change in my environment as well. And the idea of being patient with oneself is useful. However, being true with yourself seems to be more important, at least to me. But feel free to dig into this. Allow yourself to just declutter from the external noise, sit down with yourself and be like, what is true to me? What is really true? Because now I realize, do I really want all this mess? I thought I wanted to be a business owner. Now I understand it's so busy. I don't like busyness. I like peace. And with peace, I'm gonna focus on this. My ideal business would be the one that's at peace. And this is how I started looking at life. So changing your mind from being so over mindful into being very tuned into your feelings, very being feelful. It's a new word now. Can be a gateway to being more wholesome. And if it resonates with you, experiment with it. Nobody's going to judge you for that. Allow your feelings to be yours. Nobody can tell you how you feel. They can tell you whatever you want. There was a situation recently when I had an experience feeling something and I was like, oh, I know, that's not what I wanted. And somebody told me like, no, you're incorrect. That was the right thing. That was the right thing that you felt. I was like, no, I know how I felt. You don't get to tell me how I felt because I knew how I felt. And therefore, I will stick to what feels good and true to me. And there is no offense in this. I don't need to demand someone else to make me feel differently. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I just know the way I feel is my truth. So what is your truth? Keep digging there. Keep digging inside your heart. Keep digging in the ways you feel. And then your mind will also cooperate and it will tune into your truth that is at your core. Not too high, not too low, but where it's just right. Thank you for tuning in with me this time. I appreciate you so very much, Yuli. You have a fantastic day.